They make eye contact. We're big on eye contact. Humans too. Eye contact is meaningful in terms of oxytocin release. That's all real. Those data are the more and more data that come out with from better studies. Eye contact is a big deal. I think it's also that just the dogs are always game to show up exactly where you want to meet them, and they always show up in their most loving possible state for them. It's a pretty simple equation if you get it right. They need proper care, but I mean, Costello was unique because the bulldog also, you don't want to get me going on dog breeds, but the bulldog also looks disappointed all the time. And then you do something it likes, and then it looks delighted, and pretty soon you're working for their approval. And we were like the odd couple, me and him. And I realized he's got me trained really, really well to do my best to please him and delight him, which delighted me. And there I was on the hook. So that's one reason. I think there's also another reason, which is super nerdy, which is this C-tactile fiber thing, which is you have these little nerve endings in your skin. And we know, of course, that oxytocin is released from parent and child. We know this from neuroimaging, et cetera. We know oxytocin is released from romantic non-sexual romantic touch. One of the things that is very powerful for the release of oxytocin, very powerful, is non-sexual grooming touch among members of a species or even across species. So those pictures of monkeys, picking around in each other, or people who insist on popping things on one another, or people who go to the hairdresser or the barber and they touch. It doesn't even have to be massage. Massive oxytocin release. Those data don't get as much play as all the data on oxytocin and love. It's called the love hormone, but it's basically a neurochemical signaling system for this interaction feels good and is very much of the present. And I think that's an important distinction to make more broadly, is that dopamine is really about the pursuit of all things beyond the confines of our skin. I'm going to get that thing. I want that. Because it's all about anticipation. And when you have some distance between yourself and the thing that you think will deliver whatever it is you want, usually pleasure in some form or another, or excitement, whatever your pleasure is, or combined, then you actually have to mobilize. And dopamine is the precursor to adrenaline. A lot of people don't know that. Adrenaline is made from dopamine. It gets you into motion. Then you have the reward systems that are more about what you have from your skin surface inward. So this is gentle touch, holding hands, and indeed stroking your dog probably does that for you. It activates these C fibers, as they're called, in your skin, which feed right into these serotonin and oxytocin systems of the brain. Sounds a little pop psychology-ish, but it's a real thing, and it exists in essentially all mammalian species. So I think a lot of us just like dogs because they'll let us just pet them all day. Some people like to be touched a little bit more or less, even when they trust. This is all consensual. It's consensual, age-appropriate, context-appropriate. In this case, species-appropriate. Those are the conditions. Very important. When I was a kid, I had to, I don't know why. My sister's in the audience. I don't know why she decided to do this in the first place, but I loved having my face kind of like done like pet like that. I still like it, but don't try it because she's the only one. She can't do it anymore even. So we all have these things that feel good, and I think it feels good because it releases these chemicals. And these are ancient systems, ancient systems that we all have, and I think dogs let us do that. And cats toy with us with this one, because there are those cats that let you pet them, but most of the time they're doing it to you and then they withdraw. And I don't know many dogs that do that. So I think people, I'm going to answer the question finally, I think dogs, we love them so much because they let us pet them as much as we want. And cats play this very diabolical game that's a lot more like human relationships.